Welcome to the Red Conrad Show, the story of my life and world events how I see them. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get this going. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe for subscriber-only content. You can find links to subscribe at show.redconrad.com. Subscriptions are available directly through Spotify, as well as through a Memberful account, where you can access subscriber-only content on any podcast listening platform. Whatever platform you prefer to listen to podcasts on, you will be able to listen to my subscriber-only content on that platform via a feed specifically for you through your Memberful account. Again, the links to subscriptions can be found at show.redconrad.com.
Hi everyone, this is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!
Hello everybody. In addition to the mental health awareness episode I did previously, how it has to spread quicker, I just want to point out that there are certain things that people with certain conditions will do, and if the person that's doing it, that the person that's got the mental disorder, if they trust you and care about you, and they don't want you to get the wrong impression, they will explain, why it is that they do what they do, or why they say certain things certain ways, or what have you. No, it's not necessarily to mean that, you shouldn't be upset about it. Obviously, if you're upset about how something is done or how something is said, something that they do, you just mention it to the person. They'll try to explain, why they do what they do, or why they say certain things, or why they say things, and then if you need time still to calm down from it, or to try to understand it, then just let them know that. Most of us will be okay with that. At least you're trying to fucking understand who we are, what's wrong with us, and where we're coming from. Granted, mental health awareness has come a long way, since I was a kid. I'm still seeing way too much ignorance out there, particularly, I believe I covered it in the last episode, but these fucking people that suggest that younger people aren't working because they're hiding behind their mental illness. Now, I'm not going to say that everybody with the mental illness doesn't do that, but most of us don't. Most of us want to be quote-unquote normal. We want to prove to everybody else that we're just as good as you guys at different things, or maybe even, better by using our disabilities to our advantage. I am seeing a lot of certain types of disorder communities come together, and they're putting a lot of content out there, trying to bring awareness to their particular conditions. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 16, rightfully or wrongfully, because my more severe condition that I wasn't diagnosed with until I think I was 25. Apparently, a lot of therapists will misdiagnose as bipolar, because they don't want to deal with the more severe condition, or admit that the person that they're dealing with has that condition, because people with BPD are perceived as harder to work with, and we can be. I mean, if you look up what causes the condition in the first place, we can be relatively hard people to work with. But most of the therapists that I've gotten along with. There's only really one I didn't like, because he spent more time talking about himself and his obsession with aliens on the beach than really helping me address my problems and helping me learn coping skills. But most of my therapists, most average everyday people I meet out in the world, I get along with just fine. Now that's not to say that I don't have my faults, because I do. Everybody, whether you're mentally healthy or mentally unhealthy, you've got faults. Let's be honest. But there are many of us with certain conditions that will do certain things or react to certain situations a certain way that might upset you. Okay, we're not trying to. If you notice you're upset about it, or even if you don't notice you're upset about it, and then you bring it to our attention, communication is key with people that have certain mental disabilities. Okay, communication is fucking key, because if we don't notice something, you got to bring it to our attention. And whether you're upset with how we handle a certain situation, or whether you're upset about something we said, bring it up to us, and we'll do the best we can to fucking explain it. Like, why can we do certain things, why we do certain things a certain way, why we react to, certain types of situations a certain way, or why we say things a certain way. Okay, now, I've gotten better over the years. I'm not really going to say it's 100% due to therapy, because I've been in and out of therapy since I was 16. I didn't really try hardcore until my mid-upper 20s. But for the past several years now, my main therapy has been my blog, my podcast, my one friend, Joanne, before she passed away from cancer, helped me a lot. Just focusing on things that I like has helped me. But because of how I grew up, I ended up developing BPD, amongst other things. I got PTSD from a couple of different situations in my life. I had it before the last situation. I was already diagnosed with PTSD, and then it just kind of got worse from the following situation that I went through. That one I did talk about in the podcast. I didn't talk about the earlier one, I don't think. I was diagnosed. Alright, when I was 16, I was diagnosed with bipolar, okay? And then when I was 25, that therapist added on the dysthymia, PTSD, general anxiety disorder, and the BPD. I'll see the BPD being the more severe. And that has to do with how I was raised. Now, with, my one parent not being around, because they were always fucking working, and when they were around, literally everybody in the house was walking on fucking eggshells. And hearing, I'm not nothing but a failure. I'm not gonna succeed at nothing in life. I'm nothing but a mistake, right? That fucking affects you, okay? And then the other parent, pretty much being non-existent. I mean, they were there physically, but they didn't give a shit about anything. Didn't do anything. We pretty much fucking took care of ourselves and raised ourselves. Okay, I was the oldest of the 7. There was an older half child that was older than me from my one parent's previous marriage. But of my family, my parents, I'm the oldest. And we pretty much fucking raised ourselves. I mean, the one parent that didn't work, that stayed home, was non-existent, more or less, mentally speaking. Was apparently an alcoholic that I didn't discover by accident until I was 16. You know how teenagers are. So I discovered that particular parent was a fucking alcoholic. There are other things going on I'm not going to address yet. But because of that environment, as a kid, I was basically fucking taught that the response to anything and everything is fucking anger. Okay, because whether I did anything good, the response was anger. It ain't good enough. I did something bad, well, it was the anger I got when things were good, but 100 times worse. So, my learned response from childhood was everything is angry. And that's more or less how I went through my life. And I do overreact to certain situations. I have overreacted to certain situations. Thanks to Joanne, that did get a lot better. Like when we were together before she passed away, I mean, we knew each other for 2 years prior to getting together, so she's seen me at my worst before we even got together. And she was able to fucking sense my stress levels, my anger levels before, they'd explode. And so before I'd even have a chance to explode about certain situations, she'd tell it was coming on and would talk to me about it, and work me through it. And granted, I do believe that I felt like I was in love, or that I loved my ex-girlfriends before her. She was the first one that I really truly felt it. Like, the way I felt about her, the way I still feel about her, the way it was just different. It's like she did for me what my parents didn't, for whatever reason. I mean, I know they were unhappy with their own situation, with their marriage or whatever. Me and my one parent did talk about it, several years back, finally. A very emotional conversation. But unfortunately, them explaining to me, what was going on and why things happened, and then apologizing because the anger wasn't directed towards us kids. It just, we'd happened to be there, so it doesn't, fix anything. It doesn't change the hurt. It doesn't fucking, go back in time and teach us kids how to properly handle things. The proper different emotional responses to different situations. It doesn't do any of that. So unfortunately, the fact that I understand the situation now, I still have my issues that I gotta work through. I mean, it helps knowing what went wrong. It helps understanding, their point of view and, what was going on in their head. And that it wasn't directed at us kids. That does help. But it doesn't, like I said, that doesn't erase the hurt, doesn't erase the damage that was done to us kids. And then the other parent, I personally believe, as does one of my brothers believe, that our sisters were favorited over us boys. That they just got better treatment than we did. I don't completely understand why. That might be, and that parent won't talk about the past at all. So I don't know if that has to do with how they viewed the other parent, in the marriage leading up to their divorce, or if it's just them, how they are. I don't know. At this point, I don't really fucking give a shit. It is what it is. And like I said, it's not gonna fucking erase the damage that was done. It's not gonna fucking fix nothing. It's not gonna fix the past. The past is the past. You can't go back and fix nothing. I gotta deal with that. My parents gotta deal with that. Or my brothers and sisters gotta deal with that. And my parents gotta deal with the fact that they put kids out there that are fucked in the head. And we all gotta fucking cope with the fucking damage they did to us while we're trying to cope with life. That's on them. It is what it is. But as I was saying, fucking Joanne probably did more for me than any of my therapists could. Yeah, had I even stayed in therapy. Because we were so close. I mean, we worked together before we got together. After we got together, we still worked together. We did everything together. We went everywhere together. I mean, we were literally inseparable. And she was able to pick up on different things in me. So before I had ended up actually, getting upset or exploding about a situation, she'd sense it and start talking to me about it and helping me through a lot of shit. Like, she helped me through a lot of shit. She calmed me down. Like, if you met me in person now, and then met me in person, before I met her, you'd swear that me and the younger me from back then are two completely different people. Just with how we speak, with how we react to different things, two completely different fucking people. And that's because of Joanne. But there are still things I probably still overreact to. There's going to be things, if you know somebody that's got BPD, there's probably still things, regardless how much coping skills they've learned, regardless how long they've been in therapy for, there's probably still going to be situations that they overreact to. There's probably still going to be certain phrases or words that you say to them that they'll overreact to. Now, when I do that, especially certain phrases, it's because it's making me relive those memories of the past in my head. So I'm not necessarily responding to the person saying it. I'm reacting to the memory. So I'll try to tell people in my inner circle, just please avoid certain phrases. Like, there's a few different ways of saying things. So if you can just not say it this certain way, if you want to say it any way but this particular way, that'll help me focus on what you're saying, the point you're trying to get across, and it'll save me from having to relive that particular memory and reacting to that memory. And because you don't know that that's what I'm reacting to, you're going to get upset. That just saves all that trouble. So if you know somebody that's got PPD, they're probably the same way. Whether, certain words or phrases, or even certain situations might trigger a older memory, and they're gonna react to that memory, not to you. So when they act angry or whatever in front of you to something you did or said, before you allow yourself to get upset, just calm yourself down for a quick second and think to yourself that they might be reacting to a memory that you just triggered, and talk to them about it. I've seen a lot of people, particularly with ADHD, on TikTok and Facebook, talking about, what they do that quote unquote normal people don't understand. Well, I'd like to see more people with BPD and other conditions also do that. And there are a lot of things that, I'm seeing in common that the ADHD people are posting that they do, or how they react. That's very much in common, at least with how I react. Now, as far as I know, I don't also have ADHD. As far as I know, the 5 conditions I have is 5 conditions I have. The worst one being the BPD. But ways that they're saying that they react to things is very similar to how I react to things. I'm going to assume it's similar to how other BPD sufferers react to things. And at least for me, I'm speaking for myself here, because I'm not going to speak for the entire BPD community, because BPD, is on a scale. And there are those that are less severe, those that are more severe, those that have, varying symptoms, those that are able to deal with life better than others of us. So I'm only speaking for myself here. So if you know somebody with BPD, just bring it up. If what I'm saying sounds similar to them, then they'll let you know, and they'll when I get upset about something, okay, because I know I react in anger to a lot of things, and I don't know if it's strictly my BPD doing it, or if it's in turn triggering one of my other conditions that I have. But there's certain things that will upset me that I do react angrily to that I probably don't have. Like, stress would probably be a better reaction to have to certain things that I react angrily to. And the stress eventually does hit. But first I get angry, then I get depressed, then I'll get anxious and stressed. And it happens pretty quickly. And then I shut down. Like, I literally just, I fucking mentally shut down. I might be physically present, but mentally I'm not here. I'm inside my head, arguing with myself, battling with myself, like... Alright, Joanne used to tell me that there's literally like fucking at least 3 other versions of me inside my head. The way I yell at myself, the way I talk to myself, or, just the way I react to different situations. No, I don't have multiple personality disorder. It's just the way I react to different things, or the way I talk about doing things, or the way I talk to myself. I do talk to myself out loud. Always have. I think I talked to myself out loud more with Joanne because she spoke to herself out loud too. And then we both spoke to our cats and dogs. So I think I allowed myself to speak out loud to myself more so around her than I ever did before. Or in public or around anybody else. But anyways, I'd have this, battle going on inside my fucking head. Okay, bro, I'm mentally shut down. And I'm just in a war, all-out war inside my head about that particular situation. Whatever it is that's going on. I will get phone calls from people, I will get text messages from people. Or they might email me, or message me on one of the social medias, and it'll take me hours, okay, or even days, sometimes longer, to get back to them. And I've had one friend in particular, the friend that's really been helping me out the most through everything, and the one that's really been there for me, since I lost Joanne. Has told me that he doesn't care about my condition or whatever. It fucking hurts him. Well, look, it hurts me that it hurts you. It does. Okay, and people that suffer with these conditions will feel hurt that they're hurting somebody, or feel guilty, thinking that they're hurting people by ignoring them. But we're not ignoring you intentionally, okay? The way we view it, or at least the way I view it, is I'm protecting you. Okay, because I have had friends that, I believed were in my inner circle. They acted like they were, trustworthy enough. And I started opening up to them. And it did get to the point, where I'd vent to them, and when I vent, I do raise my voice a little bit, but I'm not yelling at them, I'm yelling to them, you know what I mean? And I've had friends that got pissed off about that, but yet I'm supposed to allow them to be that way to me. And then somebody I met, a few months ago, more or less did the same thing. Because I was ignoring them, they suggested that they were getting upset because they were being ignored. I flat out told them why. And I'm like, well, look, I'm extremely upset right now. I need to vent about something, and I don't want to vent to the wrong person. And if I end up venting to you, and you end up taking it personal, it's gonna fucking bother me. What? I don't need that shit. And then they responded, more or less thanking me for not doing that. And that if I had ever fucking goddamn done that to them, or raised my voice to them, or said anything that they even mistakenly took personal, like I was, addressing them, that would be the end of our friendship. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was the end of our fucking friendship. Because if I'm calling you a friend in my inner circle, okay? I have an outer circle, but my outer circle I don't really consider friends. They're like higher tier acquaintances. Right? I'll talk to them more so than a regular acquaintance. Okay? Like, And unlike regular acquaintances, if they come to me for help, if I'm able to help them, I'll help them out. You know, we'll shoot the shit more so than a regular acquaintance, a traditional acquaintance. But they're not really a friend. You know what I'm trying to say? So as far as I'm concerned, this person, that's where they stand. They're a higher tier acquaintance. They're in the outer circle, so to speak, of what I consider a friend. If I can't trust them enough to be a friend, to be in my inner circle, they're not a friend. Period. It's that simple. I can't be around somebody that I can't trust. I can't be around somebody that I can't, because I do go off randomly. If something's bothering me and I'm keeping it bottled up, it will eventually just all blurt out. If I'm by myself, I'm basically venting and ranting to myself. If I'm around somebody, then I'm venting or ranting to them. Well, if I can't fucking trust you enough to be able to do that around you, then you're not a fucking goddamn friend. I'm not gonna try to fucking hang out with you and shit. If you're gonna take my venting and ranting fucking personal and shit and end the friendship over it, but yet you expect to be able to come to me to vent and rant? Nah, fuck you. So anyways, as I was saying, when my mind's like that, and I'm out of work myself inside my head, I will shut down. I'll go days, hours, weeks without fucking responding to nobody. I turn into a fucking hermit. I'm not doing it, to ignore nobody. I'm not doing it, to upset anybody, hurt anybody's feelings. And I'm sure most people that have these conditions aren't doing it to hurt you. They're not doing it to ignore you. Most of us view it as we're doing it to fucking protect you and to protect ourselves. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to fucking inadvertently, damage the relationship that we have with you. And so we just shut down and we deal with whatever we're dealing with by ourselves. It's that simple. And a lot of us also, have stupid shit that we do that we really can't help. I call mine OCD, even though I wasn't officially diagnosed with it, because since I was young, basically because of watching my dad, I have this fucking fear of dropping shit. So, and I picked it up from my dad. He's constantly, looking for. He was constantly, anyways. I don't know if he got any better now. I live 1,000 miles away from him. But growing up, when we would go someplace, he's constantly fucking checking himself to make sure he didn't drop this or didn't forget that. And I ended up picking that up. So when I'm out in public, at the most random of fucking times, I'll fucking what looks like I'm dancing in circles. It looks absolutely ridiculous. It really does. Or I'll backtrack myself, knowing damn well I didn't drop nothing. I don't really carry that much shit on me. And even when I used to, I used to have chains hanging off me and shit when I was younger, you'd hear the shit fucking drop and hit the fucking floor. The one time that I had a hole in my pants and I had to keep my wallet in that particular pocket, and my chains fell out. I heard the change hit the fucking goddamn floor. I felt a couple pieces of change hitting my foot. So despite none of that happening, I will still fucking, at the most random times, backtrack my steps, or I'll fucking turn around and look behind me as I'm walking forward, and then I'll glance down at my side. Just stupid paranoid shit. It doesn't mean, if you're a store owner or whatever, it doesn't mean we're trying to fucking steal nothing. We're just paranoid, or, it could be one of our coping. In my case, it's paranoia. In somebody else's case, it could just be, them doing one of their fucking coping mechanisms. Whatever the fuck it's called. I don't want to say the wrong word here talking about another condition because, I'm not that intelligent when it comes to other conditions. I didn't study other conditions outside my own all that heavily. I don't want to mention the wrong term and look like an idiot. But it could just be something that somebody does because of their condition, whether it's a coping skill or paranoia or fucking whatever. It's just something we do. The bottom line is, yes, a lot of us that have mental disabilities are a little weird. We could come across a little weird. Depending on our condition and how severe it is, we could come across a little harsh or react a little harsh to different situations. But it's not intentional. Okay, if however we react to something or a certain way we say something bothers you, bring it to our attention. And most of us will apologize for upsetting you or hurting your feelings or whatever. And we'll explain to you why we say how we say things or why we do things the way we do things. And, over time, we will improve. Okay, because like I said, many of us are actually in therapy and on medication and learning different coping skills. There are some of us, like me, that have been in and out of therapy, on and off medication. In my case, I stopped taking my meds and replaced them with herbal remedies that I feel work better. And no, I'm not talking about weed. There's other things that help the brain produce what's supposed to produce naturally. And it helps the brain do that naturally. Herbs, not these man-made fucking drugs. And just through dealing with life and people actually caring about us and being there for us and supporting us, has helped us learn different coping skills to different things, and helped us, react better to different situations than we used to. So yeah, we are different. We can come across as weird people. And we will do things and or say things that you don't understand or that you could possibly potentially take the wrong way. But we're still people. If you bring that to our attention, whatever bothers you or whatever we did that hurt you, bring it to our attention so we can fucking work on it and explain it to you so that you understand where we're coming from and maybe help us work on it. We can't work on something that we don't know is wrong, okay? And if we don't realize something we did or something we said, how we said it, hurt you or bothered you in any way, we won't know that we need to work on it, alright? Communication is key. In any relationship, even with other mentally healthy people, communication is key. Okay, it's the only way, your family relationships are going to stay strong, your friendships are going to stay strong, your significant other relationships are going to stay strong, is through communication. But that's especially true when you're dealing with somebody that's got a mental disability. A lot of us, don't want to unknowingly or unintentionally hurt somebody or bother somebody with how we respond to something. So bring it to our attention. We'll explain, why that was done the way it was done or said the way it was said. And now because you brought it to our attention and we now know that saying something that particular way or doing something a certain way bothers you or hurts you, we can work on it. For those of us that are in therapy, we can then bring that to our therapist and maybe get our therapist's point of view on how we might be able to work on that or come up with a better coping skill to react to different things better. If that makes any sense. Just because it's still on my mind. No, you're not. Those of us that have mental disorders, we're not hiding behind them. Okay, we're not making excuses to be a certain way. At least most of us aren't. So those of you that think that younger people aren't working because of their mental illness, well, look, maybe they're fucking focusing on college. Maybe they're lucky enough to have parents that care enough about them and are financially able to support them through college, so they don't have to work until they're through college. So instead of trying to fucking focus on their college work and focus on a full-time job, they can put their full attention on college. Now, yeah, there's always that crowd of kids that are gonna, look at college more or less as a giant party. But there are those that do take college seriously. They do take their degrees seriously. So maybe they're just focusing on school. The majority of us are not hiding behind our illnesses. The majority of us want society to view us just as good as anybody else for any given task. Okay, we want to be able to fucking goddamn be trusted in a job just the same way anybody else is. We don't want to be fucking goddamn viewed different or stepped on or chewed up and spit out because people view us as different because of our disorders. I mean, the BPD in particular, the way even therapists fucking view the condition, it hurts people. Me in particular, like, it bothers me that it's just because of the condition that I was diagnosed with, certain therapists are gonna fucking gotta misjudge who I am as a fucking person simply because of my diagnosis. And other therapists won't even acknowledge the diagnosis in BPD patients because they simply don't want to deal with it. That's fucking bullshit. So no, we're not hiding behind our illness. We're trying to fucking prove to ourselves and to everybody else that we're just as good as mentally healthy people, and we're able to do the same stuff. And a lot of us are even trying to use our mental illnesses as quote-unquote superpowers. Figure out what we're good at because of our mental disorder and, find a career based in that. So we can excel in that career, because of our disorder, as opposed to, not being able to do something because the disorder is getting in the way. That's primarily why I work for myself. Okay? Because, one, I enjoy the work. And two, I get along better by myself, than working for somebody else. My problem isn't coworkers, my problem is authority. I don't like people, telling me what to do, and then when I do it, no matter how good I do it, get told that it's fucking not done fast enough, not done correct enough. And that stems back to my childhood. I know that, I understand that, but it doesn't change the fact that it bothers me. It doesn't change the fact that I can't deal with it. I have had jobs, even while I've had my businesses. At times when I needed to, I've picked up part-time jobs to help me out. And I have had jobs, that where, my coworkers were cool, the bosses were cool. I was actually appreciated for how fast and how good I got the work done. But most jobs that I've had, the bosses were all assholes. They refused to acknowledge anybody for the work they did. But even realized that nobody was acknowledged, even those that did perform better than me. I don't mean to sound conceited, but I put everything into my job. I put everything into my work. I'm a perfectionist. So when I acknowledge that somebody did something better than me, one, that takes a lot for me to admit that. But two, that just goes to show how good somebody was, because I'm a perfectionist. Okay? So anyways, even those who did certain jobs that I had better than me, the boss wouldn't acknowledge. And even knowing that, even realizing that, didn't really fucking help me. Like, it's still, I couldn't deal with it. I can't deal with it. So for me, working for myself is the answer. And aside from that, the kind of work that I'm in, most companies that are in my industry don't hire employees. They only hire independent contractors. So I'd still, in a sense, be working for myself to a degree, but I'd also, in a sense, be working for somebody else at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, I'd still be held to somebody else's standards. Whereas, fully and entirely working for myself, I'm held to my own standards of perfection. I don't have anybody, above me, bossing me around, so to speak. The only people I have to worry about pleasing is my customers. There is no boss above me. So, as I was saying, there are people with certain mental conditions will look for jobs, relevant to their illness, to their condition, where, their strengths because of their condition will help them excel in their career, whether, it's working for somebody else or they start their own business in a particular field that, their condition will help them excel at. It's just the way it is. We're not hiding behind our illness, okay? We're not fucking acting deliberately to hurt anybody or bother anybody. So if you're ignorant enough to fucking think that, people don't work because of our mental illnesses, educate your damn self. Pay attention to people that are talking about their mental illness. Like, whether it be Facebook Reels, YouTube videos, TikToks, whatever. Find people that admit they're mentally ill and primarily talk about their conditions and just listen to what they gotta say, because we're not hiding behind shit. We're actively working, trying to, survive through life like anybody else is. We're also not doing anything or saying anything intentionally to hurt people. So for the umpteenth time now in this episode, I'm going to say this. If somebody close to you that has a mental condition says something to you in a certain way, or does something in a certain way that bothers you or hurts you, bring it to their attention, because we don't always pick up on the fact that we hurt you or that we bothered you. So bring it to our attention, and we can explain why, and then we can try to work on it so we don't unintentionally hurt you again. And like I said, as far as, taking hours, days, weeks to respond to your phone calls, messages, we're not ignoring you. We're just going through some serious shit in our heads. We got a lot going on. We have this battle going inside of our fucking head. And we're trying to deal with that without, taking it out on anybody else. Right? I mean, if you want to be there for us, you want to support us through it, let us know that. Let us know that we can trust you with whatever we're going through, and we'll talk to you about it. But if we're fucking ignoring you, we're not doing it to ignore you. We're doing it more or less to protect our relationship with you, and, to avoid the possibility of unintentionally fucking hurting you, or you taking something personally because you don't understand, what's going on. We will eventually fucking respond to messages or phone calls or whatever. And as far as our weird actions in public, that's just us. Most of the time we can't help it. Just fucking ignore it. It's who we are. It's how we are for one reason or another. Whether it's out of paranoia, out of OCD, a coping mechanism, whatever. Just let us be. We're not trying to fucking goddamn steal anything. We're not trying to look threatening. We're not trying to look like fucking idiots. It's just how we deal with our conditions out in public. And if you listening to this right now have any kind of mental condition, especially if you have BPD, please email me at podcast@redconrad.com and let me know what condition you have, what coping mechanisms you've learned, to deal with different things. And if you have BPD in particular, please try to get yourself to a point where you can openly discuss it to the general public, because like I've said in previous episodes, I'm seeing a lot of content from ADHD sufferers. I'm seeing more and more content from other mental disability sufferers out there trying to educate the public on their conditions. But I'm noticing within the BPD community that most people that have it are primarily talking to other BPD sufferers. And whereas that's fine and great, I mean, I've learned a lot about the condition from, BPD forums and BPD oriented podcasts and whatnot. And from some of you guys, I've even learned some of my coping skills, or been able to fine tune some of my coping skills from reading your guys' stories or hearing your guys' stories that have been, suffering longer than I have, or at least, known about it longer than I've known about mine. But there's not enough information going out towards the general public to educate the general public and the mentally healthy about our condition. And even amongst therapists, there's still too much stigmatization on our condition and who we are as people, which I think is fucking bullshit. I mean, if even therapists are going to view us the wrong way, and therefore, not treat us or mistreat us, how the fuck are we supposed to get better? How are we supposed to fucking learn coping skills to things? How are we supposed to, generally speaking, just get better, be better about things, if we're not going to be treated properly or treated at all? Which I guess is why the BPD community more or less, came together amongst themselves to help each other out, which I do feel is a plus. It is. I do like to see that. It's better that we help each other than not be helped at all. But we really got to start getting rid of the stigmatization towards our condition in particular. But like I keep on saying in a lot of these episodes, I really want some mental health awareness as a whole spread wider quicker, because there's still far too much ignorance out there about mental health in general, and way too much about a lot of conditions. Still, BPD being probably still to this day one of the most misunderstood, misdiagnosed, and mistreated or untreated disabilities out there. And I would really like to see an end to that. Thank you all for listening. I guess I will see you in the next episode. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe for subscriber-only content. You can find links to subscribe at show.redconrad.com. Subscriptions are available directly through Spotify, as well as through a Memberful account, where you can access subscriber-only content on any podcast listening platform. Whatever platform you prefer to listen to podcasts on, you will be able to listen to my subscriber-only content on that platform via a feed specifically for you through your Memberful account. Again, the links to the subscriptions can be found at show.redconrad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Red Conrad Show. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, if you're not listening on Spotify, Spotify is the home of my subscription-only content. So any stories you want to hear that have part one, or they're missing pieces on the free side, you gotta hop over to Spotify and subscribe to the subscription content to get the missing pieces of those particular stories. I will see you in the next episode.